and welcome to today's guest. It's Ben Watts. Hi, Ben. How are you doing?
Hello there. How are you, Mark? And hello, everybody who's watching.
Well, no one's watching yet. Let's send a message out. So let's tweet out. Um, um, just gone live with Ben. Any questions for him? Preferably rude. So that's can't say that. Okay, that's just gone out on. Unfortunately, it's only gone out on Twitch, YouTube, and it hasn't gone out onto Facebook or Twitter. So we might have to do that manually. Well, while we're doing that, let's do the very beginning bit. Hello, Ben. Sorry, can you see
there.
that? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, the W is having a bit of a fun time there, but close enough.
It's lost its magnetic charm.
Yeah, W's do that. You know, they're a bit heavy. You know, you could get two V's together, maybe.
It's a bit wimpy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's no. I like the charm. I like the.
Yeah.
I could do this with
it's
font.
turning into Ben Bat now, actually.
Benat.
With the golden A.
I mean, it was just strangely enough, it works better like that.
Ben Matt. That'll do.
Yeah, never mind. Okay. No, it's not. It's not liking that.
Yeah.
All right, let's get sound and audio synced. I will get some chalk and I will write on that one day. Hello, Ben. Let's do some tweeting. So while we're sort of just letting people know you're online and we're online, and do you want to just introduce yourself? Because I think we've only met a couple of times at a couple of conferences, and I think Neil's nominated you, and so did Bob. So you're a popular man. And they went, yeah, Ben. And do I know Ben? I don't know Ben. Who's Ben? And then when I saw your face, I went, oh, yes, I bumped, at Sequel Bits.
Yeah. That wanted poster where you saw my face. Do not interview this man.
And apparently you've got a lovely radio voice.
Yeah, if I have a microphone, I'll do my nice Saturday morning. Welcome to Sequel Saturday, everyone. We're going into room 4 now. We're kicking off. Okay, let me start. I'll say hello and tell you a little bit about myself. So yeah, Mark and I, just from you and I point of view, you were right. I was a volunteer at a few Sequel Bitses over the years, and I know you play a fairly pivotal part in that volunteering arena. And we probably crossed paths, and I took some advice from you on what to do and who to kick out and who to bring in and things like that. That's my memories of you telling me what to do. But
what do you mean kick out of rooms? You mean like and be annoying and boisterous at them and tell them to like move closer together?
If anybody asked a really difficult question that put the speaker on the spot, you'd be like, that guy.
Oh, yeah. Or kind of, anyone who keeps asking those questions at the end to the speaker sort of running over, rugby tackle them, take them out.
Yeah, taking photos of slides and asking questions about when this recording's available and so on and so forth.
Questions we don't want to answer.
Yeah.
Eventually.
So I'll go back to your original question and just do the quickest version of the About Me. So I am originally from Australia. I cut my cloth doing SQL stuff back in 1997. I was using SQL 6 and SQL 6.5, loading data in with BCP and doing lots of stored procs for a banking company. I then moved to London in 1999, so 20 years ago, and I was doing development, kind of client-server development in a product called Power Builder. It was a Sybase product, and the database that they used was kind of like SQL Express. It was a little local-based version of a database. So I did a bit of coding in that area. My kind of natural happy place was in kind of more consulting, so kind of with a technical background, but I kind of liked getting out, and I have a bit of a salesy happy place as well. I like being able to talk about technology, knowing what it can do, and then envisioning solutions for customers. So I wouldn't call myself the best DBA in the world or the best SQL anything in the world. I don't do a lot of technical deep blogging, but I kind of probably my strength in the technology area is helping customers get to solutions that they love. And these days I'm a BI person. So Power BI would be the vast majority of what I do, but I'm expanding that out into the bigger world of the Power Platform. It's nice to have a background in data warehousing as well, because Power BI models and building analysis services cubes were the foundation of building a good Power BI solution. So that's helped a lot. Moving around, I've moved from Australia to London, to Dublin, back to Australia, and then to Switzerland, and then back here again to Dublin, where we got back in 2011. And I've been here since, and I'm not moving anymore. So I started our business. Our kids are getting older. I'm kind of, the free life of moving around and seeing the world was great. But I'm happy just going out and going to the hardware store and doing my little jobs in my shed and family stuff and work stuff and watching my kids grow up and be smarter than I am already. So that's me in a nutshell. That was a lot longer than I intended.
That's all right. That's fine. No, well, it gives me something to work with. So there's a couple of things that I have to point out. And please tell me to bugger off. Oh, I should ask, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking gin and tonic,
right,
with mandarin in it. Or mandarin.
I really do need to change the name of the podcast.
Yeah, this time of day, there's no way coffee. Morning thing is coffee. But yeah, this should be the booze hour. Geeks. Boozed up Geeks with Mark.
Yes, yeah. Well, maybe that's maybe we could try that out at SQL Bits or a physical conference and do it a bit like. Have you seen Drunk Histories?
No, I haven't.
Okay, they get comedians and they get people drunk and they get them to explain a bit of history, and then they get actors to reenact it as they've explained it. So you can YouTube that. It's quite funny.
Yeah.
So you've got a feline down there on your right side who is asleep, I think.
Yeah.
Who should be watching the goldfish.
Yeah, they've got a very, they're keeping their social distancing at the moment, so she knows not to go within 35 centimeters. That's the, in animal distance, that's the same as 2 meters. So she knows not to go too close, and she comes and goes, so you probably can't quite see, but behind the fish tank is a window that pops open, so she can actually squeeze in that gap, go in and out as she likes while I'm sitting here working. And she comes and goes and does a thing and then has a bit of a snooze, and we have a chat, and the goldfish just sit there looking out the window and wishing they were in a bigger pond.
It just makes me think of dentists. That's for some reason, I don't know what it was. In the 80s, all dentists seem to have fish tanks in them.
Yeah, and it was a thing that a lot of Chinese takeaways would have a fish tank at the entrance or water at the entrance. It's a feng shui thing, I believe. So water at the entrance of a place has some meaning that I can't remember. But I remember when I lived in Sydney, there was a big mega casino there, and Sydney would be a popular destination for those from kind of Southeast Asia, and so they catered for those needs by having a lot of water tanks and stuff like that at the entrance, just to cleanse their soul, whatever it does, as they enter and start blowing all their money on blackjack and roulette and mahjong.
And the as I described it earlier, and you did correct me, and I will say it, the wing-backed armchair, which the reason why I called it a wing-back armchair, because it reminds me of Richard Herring, and we will get to him later. But it's not, is it? It's you called it.
It's a Chesterfield.
A Chesterfield.
Yeah. It's my thinking spot. So I have been known to sit there and put my feet up on the chair that I'm sitting on now, listen to a bit of music, sometimes listen to some relaxation music, and indeed end up half an hour later waking up from a light slumber, feeling very regenerated and relaxed for the rest of the afternoon. It happens when you get old. My kids laugh their heads off at me. I don't think in the last couple of months or so since this lockdown, if we go in and we all start watching a movie together, I'm gone asleep within half an hour.
I can do that, but
yeah,
it's a family trait rather than, I don't know. It hasn't seemed to got worse since I've got older, but I can sit in the living room with everyone being with the TV on, with all the noise, and I'll just drift off.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about what makes that happen. And when you're at the movies, I think that can be a place where you tend to nod off a little bit as well. Maybe not as much as your own couch, but I think it's sitting there with your own family around you. Everyone's safe. We're all cozy. Your mind is taken off whatever is on your mind with work or anything like that. And I think your body just goes into everything is okay mode. And at that point, you just go into a slumber.
Yeah, maybe. For me, it's just, that's it, straight away. It doesn't matter whether I'm safe or not.
Yeah.
I have fallen asleep at a disco. So, and that's not where you would necessarily consider, I mean, that wasn't recent, obviously, because I don't go to discos.
I don't think discos exist anymore, man.
Discos. I think that's
showing your age.
Yeah. So how's
is that? Were you wearing bell bottoms at the time and big curly hair and the whole kit and caboodle?
No. Well, it wasn't really a disco. It was a metal club, but I'm using the term disco in a sort of a general loud music, lots of people jumping around, and
fair enough.
Yeah, it's
okay. You're off the hook.
Yeah, no, you just find a pillar. You can fall asleep anywhere, right? It doesn't matter that there's loud metal music going on. Maybe.
So was this because you were so relaxed and your family were around you and you were cozy and watching all the music, or were you
tired,
fairly shit drunk?
No. Sober and tired.
Mm-hmm.
So how's your lockdown been?
I'm going to say my lockdown has been good. It's been a real eye opener because it's definitely a social experiment and something to observe socially, how people react and all of the restrictions that have been put in place and how people can, how people take that on board or don't take it on board. And it's nice to see who, the majority of people have really stuck with it. And I think that, and obviously it was truly a life or death situation. And if people didn't do it, we were screwed. And when it first started, there was a couple of times I actually got quite nervous about where it could go, because the charts were doing this and this and this, and we've watched the movies and we've seen what can happen, and you're like, only for a few short moments. Sometimes I thought we could be in a pickle, and unless this gets knocked on the head, and. Thankfully, it was good to see people rally together and starting to flatten the curve, and I can truly say people got on top of it. So it was good from that social observation point of view. For me and the family, it's been great because we've all been in the house, and I have 3 kids, and they're aged 16, 13, and 10, and we all get on great, and we've used that time to change the way we interact with each other on a, we need to find something to do kind of basis. So we've been doing lots of boring old charades or other kinds of games. We have a game that we used to play when I was younger called Spotlight, where we'd turn all the lights off in the house, and it's like hide and seek, but you have to find them with a torch. And my 16-year-old son, who's about 6'4", is walking around trying to. First of all, he can't find anywhere to hide himself, but. From a family point of view, it's been great. From a work point of view, it's also been it's ended up positive where it could have been any level of disaster. So, because I worked for myself, I would spend a lot of time meeting customers, doing business development, talking to potential clients. And I do like to get out on the road. I like talking with customers, both present and future, just to, shooting the breeze about what could be done. And sometimes that turns into work and sometimes it doesn't, but I kind of love the chase. And when this came on, instead of spending my time in the car or anything else, I was working just at my desk, doing work, and it's billable work. And I had a very, very good month last month. So that was good. I was very fortunate that I trimmed the fat off the workload, that I focused on 4 major projects and just worked on them. And in the end, those 4 projects have seen great results, huge positive feedback from the customers. And that part has been super positive as well. I didn't really lose any immediate work. I had a couple of things coming over the horizon. And they said, hey, look, we're going to have to wait for a while. But in the end, I had plenty to focus on. So work-wise has been great. And I'm also thankful that I have this setup that you can see behind me. So I know a lot of people have had to very quickly work from home with no proper desk and space to work in. And I think that would be very, very tough for people. So I'm also lucky that, I had this area with 2 monitors, proper, super good keyboard and mouse, and my desk is quite big. It's a €35 IKEA job, but it does what it needs to do. So, short answer again: lockdown, good.
Well, it's been a bonus for spending time with the family. I mean, it depends on which industry you're in. So some industries have been more affected than others. So I've been quite lucky, working for a large global organization. It hasn't really affected us or the bit that I work for, but it's going to affect it in some way. So, but it's been it could have been much worse for us personally. But but I've missed traveling. I do miss going out and seeing customers. So it's. But I don't know when that's going to start back up. I can't see it happening soon.
Yeah, no. But you raise a good point, right? I've been very happy sitting here at my desk, not meeting anybody, not going out, not whatever. I do love going out and I do love meeting people, but I also have a very strong, introverted side as well. So like when I go to SQL Bits and things like that, I would happily, when the parties were on, I'd be happily walking around on my own, just checking things out and having short conversations here and there, and then I might get into a massively big conversation with a bunch of people. So I don't really know whether I'm an introvert or an extrovert, but I do think that there's a short amount of time that I'll be able to stay at this desk like I have been before I probably start getting a bit like, hey, I think I need to get out now.
So are you doing any virtual events? Or you were telling me you're an MVP, so we'll hit the MVP quiz. But you also run the user group, one of the user groups in Ireland.
Yeah, so the Dublin Power BI user group. So it started back in October 2018. And we have in-person meetups every month for the most part. And then since March, obviously events that we had planned got postponed. And since then, I kind of did a whip round of all the other user groups in Ireland. So there's Power BI user groups in Cork, and there's one in Galway. There's Power Platform user groups, Belfast and Dublin, and SQL Server user group here in Dublin and Cork. And the leaders of those all got together, and we created a gap to fill the lack of in-person meetings, and created a weekly user group, which we filled speakers very easily because it's easy to get speakers now. Nobody has to fly over. Nobody has to leave their house. So they only have to give up exactly 1 hour rather than what could be a whole day and a half. Like I know we had speakers coming over from all around Europe for the Dublin Power BI user group to deliver an hour. So it's easy to get speakers. We filled up a schedule. We started at the end of March and have been going every week since then. And we have a schedule right through till the end of June. And after that, it probably will keep going for a bit longer until we start to think about what the in-person things look like again. So really have no idea what the online group will be like after, let's say, the world gets back to what it was, whether it will just disappear and we'll just stick with our own in-person user groups, or there'll be an appetite for an online option.
I think there'll always be an appetite for an online version because people can't always travel. It just depends on whether you're going to do. You could maintain them both, but keep them separate. So still have your physical groups. People have to attend and meet each other, but also have the online one where you can then get other remote people in and people don't have to travel. And then, it's easier to get speakers and sort out. And with a group of you doing it and organising it, the marketing and all the other bits should be relatively easy.
Yeah, I mean, so that's kind of what we think. We're getting attendees from parts of Ireland that have never been able to attend any user group. They're not within, any number of hours drive of a user group. So these people are saying, I love this because I couldn't make the other ones before. We made the decision to put them on at 11 o'clock on Tuesday mornings. And the reason for that was we figured everyone's working from home. So it's probably easier for them to give up an hour of their day while they're at home anyway, than us waiting until the evening and doing a session starting at 6:30 p.m. when everyone's like, I'm at home anyway. I'm just cooking my dinner. I'm not really going to dial into a user group. So it's a bit of, some people have commented, say, hey, can you move them out to 5 p.m. because I've got meetings and stuff on, and there's no magic recipe that we're going to capture everyone. But we are alternating our times a little bit. So we have some coming up at 2:30 in the afternoon. We do have one speaker coming in at 6:30 p.m. So we do our best to cater for everyone, but you just try to hit as many people as you can, I guess.
Yeah. If you've got them, are you recording them or are they just going out live and then that's it?
So they're going out live and we're not recording.
And
we had a long discussion about it because we don't want to produce content. What we want is we want to retain as much as possible that user group in-person atmosphere. Also the informal atmosphere, I guess. So there's a big difference between a session even like this that's being recorded. I'm going to be on my best behavior and I'm not going to say anything technically. I might talk about Power BI and I might say a very minor faux pas in a query, and then it's logged and locked forever, and I'm like, oh no, and also just talking about how you really feel about a product. People might be a bit more relaxed to talk about things a bit more honestly than if it's being recorded. So that's our main reason for not recording. Although we're not, it's not I think more of these user groups are recording and saving their content. So I think we seem to be in the majority on that decision. But for the moment, we're sticking with it. Even though people do ask us, are you recording this? We're kind of sticking with the no for the moment. It's also work on us to record it and save it and make it available. And, we're just trying to do it on as little time as possible.
The effort into recording and doing it is not that hard. I mean, completely fair. It's not that hard because you might want to trim the beginning or the end. You could just put it out as it was recorded. So if you recorded it with Teams, but I think the fact that you're free to say things to a group of people who are turning up to what you present, and it's not recorded, means you can be a bit freer. You can kind of be a bit, hint at a release date. Then you would just go, no, I can't say anything about that. You might go, Well, there might be something online in a couple of weeks if you want to check out this website and, keep your eye on this, or no, that's never going to happen. So I did a couple of...
Yeah, so that would be our main reason, just for that relaxed and more informal atmosphere. That's kind of what we're trying to drive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so this is supposed to be a bit more relaxed, informal, because I'm not going to ask you anything particularly technical. I don't really want to know anything that technical. I could email you afterwards if I had a technical question. But it's just a kind of a bit of social interaction, because that's kind of what I'm personally missing. Is that a virtual hug I'm getting, or are you trying to crush my face? Because that's what it looked like from here.
Reaching out to you.
But
so this session is completely, I'm not trying to be too formal or anything in this. I'm not worried. But if you're delivering a technical session where you're demoing something, you've got to be pretty cool and schmick if it's being recorded, making sure you get it right. So, but you know what? I've always said that I'm open to change. If we do get flooded, and a lot of people say to us, look, you should start to record these things, we might do it, but just now we don't feel like it.
I wouldn't feel pressured. So I talked to the people who do Data Weekender. They went for the same thing. They didn't want to deal with the recordings. If you I talked to Rob Sewell, who does one of the PowerShell ones, the PowerShell conference. They're pre-recording theirs, 45 or 50 minutes of content, and then a live Q&A at the end. So very different, it's the same in principle, but doing it in a very different way. So the speaker can get all their demos and done, and then it's just, there's no stress in kind of doing a live demo and saying something wrong, or your cat jumping on your keyboard and then you swearing. Or I was talking to Craig, and he spilled his drink on his keyboard just as we were starting to talk.
Oh no.
So.
I think pre-recording is it just never had crossed my mind as an option before, and I spoke. There was the Azure boot camp there a couple of weeks back, the global Azure boot camp, and I spoke at the kind of the Dublin version of that, and there was, I think, one session there was a speaker really, really late, and it was like, okay, we've got a recording we can use as a replacement, and it was just like bang, no problem whatsoever. And it is, you get to really polish your session, I suppose, if you want to spend time doing a couple of takes and things like that, or if you're just inclined to give it one shot, that's fine. But it does mean that you are delivering a session, but you're just pressing the play button, and then you can answer the questions afterwards. So you can sit and nearly watch yourself presenting, and it's an interesting concept. It hadn't crossed my mind before.
Yeah, I'd seen it before. Microsoft's done. They've been doing it for quite a long time. There was something, I can't remember what it was, but it was one of the Azure ones, and and you pre-record it, sitting at home talking for an hour on your. I mean, now you kind of go, well, that's normal, but this was. I can't even remember which. Oh God, this was. This is quite a long time ago, where I took a sick day off work to do it.
How long ago? Are we talking like a big video camera on the shoulder and Betamax cassettes there, or what?
It wasn't quite that but long ago, but it was certainly that kind of thing. It was like 640 by 480 webcams. It was like, no, this was 10 plus years ago, maybe even longer. I only judge it by how long we live in a particular house, but I think we've been in this house, I don't know, maybe 6 years. Yeah, about 6, maybe. I don't know. My wife would be able to tell me.
Yeah,
but we were in a different house. We were like several houses ago. So that's how time passes not in years, but in houses for me.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of have to reverse engineer where I was by where I was living at the time. Because we've moved around a lot, and I nearly have to think of my kids' ages based on where we were as well. So But now now I'm not moving anymore. So that's it. Everything's going to stop aging now.
You won't. Time means nothing anymore. I'm going to ask you probably one of the most important questions of the podcast or podcast chat.
Let's do it.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
What's your favourite cheese?
Oh, so my answer is it's not a massively important choice. Like, I'm not too picky, it's not really something I'd have a long debate with somebody over. But when we lived in Switzerland, they had this blue cheese. So it was Bavaria Blue, and they sold it in the local kind of Marktkauf, and it was lovely. So we'd have that with some wine and crackers and stuff like that. And it was kind of the first time I'd really gone beyond, like, let's say Camembert or Brie and any of the nice, the nice cheddars and whatever you can get. It's not something I've really gone far on trying out. So blue cheese is my choice, and I found a company in County Wicklow, which is the next county south of where I am, that make a blue cheese called Wicklow Blue, and it's just as good. So yeah, that's the one.
Maybe is that the one Andrew Persky? He might have said that was his favourite. I
don't know.
Oh, I'll have to go back and check. I mean, people answer, and I just forget them. So
yeah. So yeah, blue cheese. That's the one.
Is there any sort of famous Australian cheese that I should know about? It's not something I would imagine.
No, there was a cheese that. So a friend of ours opened up a kind of a little, like Marks and Spencer's ready-made meals and things like that. He opened up a shop selling ready-made meals plus really high-quality meats and cheeses and other stuff like this. It was kind of like a deli, but a little bit more modern, that you could walk in and buy ready-made meals. And he sourced these cheeses, and he sourced this one, and it was kind of like a camembert, but it had ash inside it. So eucalyptus tree burnt and eucalyptus tree ash as a layer in the cheese. Now, it wasn't a big thick layer or anything. It was kind of a lightly delicate sweep inside it, but it gave this kind of really nice opposite taste to the camembert and the skin part of the camembert. But it was just a variation of a typical French cheese. Oh. I have a delivery.
Oh, I see.
Thank you.
Was that on order at a certain time?
Yeah, so when you saw me looking down a minute ago, I was texting my wife and said, okay, gin me.
Okay, that's how it works. I did like the term you just used, a sweep of ash. That was nice.
Yeah, just like the Ashes, the Aussies win quite often.
You've got to speak to someone.
Moving along. Do you want to see my Lego? I don't know if Alex Whittles is watching or not. I'm looking at the YouTube. I can't see any comments or anything yet. I might be missing them.
Should we see if Alex is around?
I'm only looking at the YouTube thing, but I can't see.
He normally responds on Facebook, but I don't know whether it sent a message. So if I put Alex. It's time to see. Oh, they got the wrong keyboard. We're not. I can't believe we're not friends on the Facebook. Oh, time to see Ben's Lego.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to say Lego or Legos?
Lego.
All right. I don't have a preference or care. I just thought some people say Legos.
For like, what would you use it in a sentence? I made something out of Legos.
Like Lego and so I guess for me, it's always been Lego, and Lego is the singular and plural. So like sheep and sheep. But I've heard people say Lego and Legos as plural of Lego. Lego brick. And many Legos bricks, but it doesn't sound right.
No,
Go on.
I don't think I'd say Legos.
Show me this Lego.
It's a Porsche 911. And
is this to go with your real Porsche 911, or that's quite?
It is.
Is that huge, or are you just really close to the camera?
I'm very close to the camera.
I take it the steering wheel works.
If I put it closer to me, you'll see that it's about that big.
That's still pretty big. So
yeah, there's a couple of moving parts that are probably not going to come off so well on the camera, but you can see into the engine a bit, and there's the steering column works. Yeah. Where am I here? Steering column, and that actually has turns the steering wheel as well, which you might not be able to see. And then you can pop open the boot, and you might just see the engine.
Yeah, you can see the pistons.
Just see it. Yeah. And it's a straight 6. 1, 2, 3. No, it's a V6. Sorry, V6. And so my son and I, he got it for Christmas, and it was 1,500 pieces, and I just thought this is going to be a monumental task. We started it in January, and we logged, believe it or not, it's going to be, you're going to laugh at me a little bit, but we logged every time we sat down. We logged how long we spent, what pages we did, and what did we say? How long I spent, how many pages, and the number of pieces, I think. So we logged and tracked it all. I'm yet to put that into a Power BI report and publish it, but so we spent about 16 hours, and it was 1,500 pieces. And it took us over the period of kind of 3 months, because we went away for a month to Australia in February, and we only sat down for half-hour slots. We got derailed a few times with the COVID, but then when we saw Alex's one, I showed him, I said, let's try and get this finished. And we finished it that weekend, actually. So we sat down for 2 sessions of an hour and a half and just finished it. And so he was delighted to get it finished, and I was delighted having spent the time with him.
So have you craggled it?
No. He actually said to me, I want to pull it apart and start again. And I think I could see him actually, because, typical son thing, he really loves spending the time, and we'd chat about it. We would just make it a whole fun session. And towards the end, he actually started to get a bit quiet and a bit sad about it, because he saw the end coming. And he actually said, can we pull it apart and start again? And I said, to hell with that. We are never pulling the steering. So we said, let's just buy another thing and put that together. And so it sits in his room proudly, and the next thing we'll start again. But I do remember Alex Whittle saying that it was a very cathartic experience, and it is. It's just it's a bit like doing a jigsaw puzzle, or doing some painting or gardening. It's just sitting, achieving a task that has an enjoyable end result. So it was great fun.
Yeah, well, it's very pretty. Building Lego is really nice, but they're quite expensive, especially the big kits. So
definitely, it's not like you can pop out and just grab another one. They are pricey, all right.
Oh, that was good. So I did remember. So I completely forgot about the tweet that you kind of were building something. So you were just trying to compete. Now Alex has got to come back and go, well, look what I've built now.
Yeah, I know. He's going to have this Death Star the size of his garage or something. So.
Yeah, I can imagine the Death Star one is. There's a bigger Death Star, isn't? What did he do? The Millennium Falcon?
Yeah.
There's a bigger one, and then there's 2 sizes of Death Star, and then there's a Star Destroyer.
Yes, but I think, I don't know for sure, but I think there's a massive Millennium Falcon as well. But I don't know if I'd be that patient. That's a big undertaking. Like that 1,500 pieces there was good. It's a nice size. You get to see the beginning, the middle, and end within a reasonable amount of time. You don't age 3 or 4 years during the construction. So yeah.
Did you I mean, I assume you watch them. Do you watch any of the Guys in the Cube videos? The Adam Sexton.
Yeah, I do. I watch them from time to time. So I'd probably I don't, let's say, religiously watch every one. But if there's a particular new announcement, or if there's if I'm searching on a kind of a nice way to do some filtering or design, and I search it, it might come up fairly frequently. So I see them for sure.
Well, the reason why I mention it is, I mean, I don't watch them. I mean, I should do, but I don't. I mean, I've seen a few. Is if you look back at one of the ones where Adam moves house, there's a video of them taking apart the Star Destroyers.
Oh, God.
And there's 3 of them doing them and putting them into bags and then labeling them up and then putting, and doing that time lapse of him and his children doing that. So, yes, you're not the only one who's been, through that process. But if you take it apart, if you don't have the instructions, how are you going to put it back together? Because the bits aren't in bags anymore.
So my son undid every bag and put them all across a table in his bedroom. And it was just like, oh God, and I'm the guy that when you buy stuff from IKEA, I take all the pieces and I organize them into sizes and groups and lay them out. And I spend 10 minutes doing that to save just the mental anguish of trying to find pieces when you're actually putting it together, because putting things together like that IKEA junk, it's hard enough without having to go looking for piece number PZ414, which is buried somewhere. But he had all the pieces laid out everywhere, and they were falling off his desk. There was cat coming and going, kids and friends of his coming and going, and I was really worried that we were going to have lost a lot of pieces. So we put them all up. We got a bunch of Tupperware dishes and organized them in color groups, and that was enough just to get us, over that hump of just agony. And in the end, out of the 1,500 pieces, we lost one. And it will probably turn up somewhere, but thankfully it wasn't an important piece. So there was one piece, and it was like actually probably in the top 5 of important pieces of that Lego car that went missing. And he was a bit upset that we couldn't continue without that piece in there. So it was actually where the steering wheel has a zigzaggy bit that turns and moves the wheels this way. So it was the crucial piece to move the movement from this to sideways to move the wheels. And it's that center piece. So I went and bought one from eBay, and the piece cost £1.75. But then I had to get it shipped to Ireland, and that cost a further. So I use a shipping kind of service that if somebody in eBay or somebody, in the UK wants to ship something to they don't want to ship it to Ireland, I have a UK address that's up in Belfast, and I can get stuff sent there, and they ship it down to me for a cost of €5. So I paid €5 plus £1.75 for one piece, and guess what? It turned up towards the end, and the thing is, we searched high and low, and it turned up in the Tupperware dish with all the other black pieces. So we smell a rat there. We think my daughter or my wife accidentally took it or found it and snuck it back in. Something wasn't right there.
Yeah, you shouldn't go so those accusations are now recorded now. But she's never going to watch. They're never going to watch this, so are they?
No. They said, "Hey, do you want us to watch this?" And I said, "No, don't. Please, I'm going to be a bit too liberal." And blame them for stuff.
Yeah. Well, they're not here. They can take the blame, can't they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Should we do we'll do the MVP quiz. Then we'll do I'll introduce you to the emergency questions, and then we'll get on to the nominations. So I should be able to remember these off by heart, but I can't.
Okay.
So, are you ready?
Ready.
What does MVP stand for?
Most valuable professional.
Right. Is there a secret handshake?
There is no secret handshake.
Who's the tallest?
But but there's an acknowledgement.
Oh, that's a wink. Okay, all right.
Mm.
Who's the tallest MVP?
So there's two guys I need to see standing next to each other. Alex Whittles and Benny de Jager in Belgium. Both tall guys. I'm not sure who would be taller.
Alex thinks Benny is taller, but we'll find out tomorrow. Tomorrow night, he said, I think I'm talking to Benny. I can just check. Let's finish the quiz. Do you get free parking?
No, I have to pay for my parking.
What's the best free thing you got while being an MVP?
It was the 5 Office 365 E5 licenses.
Okay. Do you
Save me
really
a bit of money?
Do you really have Bill Gates' phone number or fax number?
I have a number. He's never answered it. It's rung out. I'm just assuming it's him. Just going to call me back eventually.
All right. Finish the story. 3 MVPs walk into a bar.
Oh, yeah. I was going to prepare for this a bit better. Okay. 3 MVPs walk into a bar. 3 of them are SQL experts, and 3 of them have knowledge that the other 2 don't. The bartender comes up and says, "What are you having?" And one guy says, "I want a pint and a chaser." The second guy says, "I want a chaser and a pint." And the third guy says, "I want 2 chasers and 2 pints." An hour later, they're experts on pints and chasers, giving sessions SQL bits on chasers and pints. That's the end of the story.
Okay. All right. You've taken that to the extreme. I will give you credit for that. Can you sneak me into the next MVP summit?
I can send you the Teams link. Yeah.
Oh, everyone else says no. I like you. So thank you for that. Hopefully that wasn't too stressful.
No. I intended to have a better story prepared. I was thinking about it the other day, and then it slipped my mind, and then I just made that piece of rubbish.
I mean, it's other people get a bit flummoxed. I mean, there is the default answer: 3 MVPs walk into a bar, they go, "Ouch." You know, but it is interesting to see the same questions. Different people have different answers, and so you get a little insight into how their brains work.
Yeah, true.
I'm not sure what that's told me about your brain, though.
No, it hasn't told me anything either.
No.
Other than the kind of just random words come out that have no meaning, not funny, not interesting. Anyway.
It was interesting.
You thought it was going to go somewhere, though, and then it just went nowhere.
I thought, well, I mean, even you raised these expectations. I was thinking, right, where's this joke going? And then you then took everything away from me underneath, which is how, you subverted my expectations. Which is
there is a very long and very funny version of that story. I had to stop it because I guess we're running out of time. So I'll tell you the full story next time.
Okay. All right. So before...
And trust me, it's wonderful.
Oh, okay. Well, I can't wait to see you in person then. So we're going to do one question from Richard Herring's emergency question book. So I don't know if you know who Richard Herring is. He's a comedian. He does interviews. And he's done 1,001 questions. So you get to answer one of these questions. If you pick a number between 1 and 1,001, and then people can play at home with their own copy of emergency questions. So pick a number.
709er.
Oh, okay. I thought you were just going for 7. 709. Any reason why 709?
No reason.
Okay. This would have me stumped.
Okay.
And there's no right or wrong answer, just so you know. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Who is your favourite author who uses 2 or more initials in their pen name? mean, I would have no idea where that would go.
I'll say W.B. Patterson. He's a Irish poet known as Banjo Patterson.
I mean, that's a really good answer. I mean, I wouldn't know where to go with that.
So yeah, he would have wrote a lot of old colonial Australian poems. So, you know, the Man from Snowy River, or have you ever heard of that, or the movie that they made of it? He wrote that and a bunch of other ones. Don't ask me to repeat any, but that's as far as I know.
I don't really know much about Australian history, or I think, you know, apart from, I can remember doing the Dream Times or Dream Stories at school a long time ago, and Ned Kelly, and really, that is probably about it. Which makes us kind of really kind of ignorant in the kind of Australian culture.
But you could say that about any country. I mean, tell me about Norway. So Norway had a birthday yesterday, and I didn't know that was the case. You know, I think it's an annual thing, but yeah, I mean, just because you don't know about Australia and its history, I don't know about a lot of countries' history, and maybe because we're a little bit closer connected, we might know a little bit more, but it's not an expectation that you'd have to know a huge amount. So you are forgiven on behalf of Australia and everyone who's been to Australia and knows a lot more than you about Australia. I forgive you for all of your horrible sins of lack of knowledge, Mark.
Thank you. Oh, and all the criminals that were sent over there. Oh, I didn't mean to mention the criminals. Sorry.
They're all coming back here now. So you're going to get my cat riled up, Mark.
Sorry, she's...
Look, oh gosh, she's going to take the fish out now.
No, she's going back to sleep.
Yeah.
So, 2 more questions. One is, who do you think I should have a chat with next? Who would you nominate for season 2? And the second one is, where can people find you? Where can people listen to you talk? Are you doing any virtual talks coming up?
I'm talking tomorrow at 11 o'clock. And I'm doing a session on Power Automate and cognitive services and Power BI at the Irish kind of community group that I was talking about. So it's called the Community Cafe. And it's on every Tuesday at 11, and I'm actually speaking tomorrow. So normally I've been, say, organizing or doing mediator along with some other guys helping out. But tomorrow I'm actually stepping up and doing an online session. Then I don't have any major commitments coming up in terms of speaking sessions. So that's pretty much it. My Twitter handle is probably the best place to keep in tune with anything else that I might be doing. But that's pretty much it.
All right.
Do you want to put a link out or anything? How do we do that? So if anyone wants to join up tomorrow, they can have a look.
Let's we can tweet about that now. We can send a message. Let's do that. So we can send. I presume there's a coffee. What do you call it? Coffee. So I did see the stuff. If we can put that, we'll put a link up on the Twitter. And
yeah,
Facebook,
we can do that. We can do that later.
Sure, and it will go out, and then hopefully it'll be maybe a couple more people if they'll see it. But obviously, use the Twitter the Twitter hashtags that get picked up everywhere, like MVP Buzz. Is that the one we should be using? A popular one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so who should I be talking to next?
So I tweeted this out just about an hour before the session, said, hey, I'm going to be on, and one person retweeted it. So that person has put themselves in the firing line.
All right.
So That is Shannon Lindsay. She's a Power BI person from the US.
All right.
In Washington.
Okay. So if you can... Oh, there, yeah. Okay. I can see her on the Twitter sphere.
Yep.
All right. That's going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's got quite a few followers. I might have to do some research for that rather than just hope that I can muddle my way through.
Yeah, I thought we'd just go across the pond and see. So I follow Shannon. She does some pretty great work with some African stuff and charities and stuff like that. So she does some really wonderful work for those guys, and she'll be really interesting to talk to. She does some pretty cool tweets about things that she's done. And I met her really briefly one time in Dublin when she was speaking, and that's pretty much it. So that's the only way I know her, but I think she'd be pretty interesting to talk to.
Oh, cool. All right, I'll do that. I was going to ask quickly, your hosting service, so when you host stuff, how do you go about doing that?
When you say host stuff, you mean the online things or the in-person ones?
Well, both. How do you treat them differently?
So the user group, we manage attendees and announcements just with meetup.com. That platform kind of kicked off a couple of years back. I was working, myself and Bob Duffy did the SQL Server user group, and I was actually working in Microsoft at the time. So I'm an ex-Microsoft guy, actually. I don't know if you knew that. But I left there in 2016. But while I was working there in Dublin, I was able to easily rent out, a book spaces for the user group and just help with that kind of organization. And that kind of got me into the whole user group world. And Bob and I would do the organization with like Eventbrite for the registration process, and would use like MailChimp for announcements and communications. And then Meetup came along, and it was kind of the de facto next thing. And we kind of moved to that platform. It's much easier to organize. It's much easier to RSVP and to communicate. But the stickiness of attendees and so forth is less with Meetup. It's a bit too easy for attendees to RSVP and not show up. Our drop-off rates doubled overnight when we moved to Meetup, and everybody says the same thing, around the world, that yes, more, more sessions that are on, the details, you press the RSVP, and whether you go or not, that's a whole nother story. So we use Meetup for the organization and the attendees. The online user group for the community cafe, we're using Microsoft Teams. We did a lot of work at the beginning. So it was mid-March then we started talking about it, and we did a lot of tests with Teams to make sure we knew exactly what to do. We tested live events. We tested the normal Teams meetings. We started to learn what the difference was between live meetings, normal Teams meetings, channel meetings. We learned about what meeting options we needed to set and not set. And once we learned those things, we became very proficient in using Teams, and it has really stood the test of being a stable platform for delivering the online content for our user groups. So far, so good.
Well, of course it is. It's the best platform out there.
Now, if this wasn't being recorded, I would list you a number of things that I would complain about. But all the same, I do know that when Microsoft are focused on making something good, they'll get there. But I could spend another 10 minutes with you complaining about a few things. But I know they're being fixed up, so I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah. So there's going to be a end of season party, which you're invited to. I haven't sent all the invites out yet because I did send some messages on Twitter, and then I realized I could only get a third of the attendees in a Twitter message.
And what the hell's with the repeated thing, Mark? We're seeing the same message over and over. Did you have some sort of automation thing going on?
Oh dear. I think I tried to put something into if this and that. Is that been firing today?
Not just today, of the last, say, week. It's the same message has been coming out fairly regularly.
Really? I mean, I hadn't realised.
All right.
I will turn. I had some. Oh, I've had 2 bad experiences with if this then that, and so the idea was to anything that was that's what if it goes up onto Facebook or Twitter, it's supposed to push up onto the other platform. But I think it's just now getting into an infinite loop.
Aren't we all, Mark? We're all in an infinite loop here.
Oh dear. I will go and fix that as soon as I'm off the call. And thank you for telling me. I saw a message.
I think if there's a few people watching this, then they're cheering right now, knowing that you've been notified and going to fix it.
Because I saw a message on Twitter just saying, Mark, automate Mark. And I thought, oh, well, all right. One of my tweets must have been delayed. Okay, all right, whatever. No one sent me any direct messages about it. So I just assumed someone was joking. But no.
No, I actually thought you were just saying, I definitely want to get this out, so I'm going to send it again. And again. Again.
No, it's just a sign of my incompetence. Really, that's all it is.
Yeah. You could have easily blamed Twitter on that. You could have said you sent it once and Twitter's on an infinite loop. So you got to get there quicker, man.
No. I'm more than happy to admit my own incompetence because I'd own that. Because then it's much easier for me to go. If it was Twitter, I'm happy to blame Twitter. But if it's me, no, it's probably I shouldn't play with stuff and then leave it and then forget about it. Well, all right. Well, I'll do that before I start taking Twitter. I'll get banned off Twitter for sending too many messages. Yeah, and just in case people do this, turn your Azure Synapse Analytics or SQL pools instances off when you're not using them. Because
you're lucky not being charged per tweet.
Yes. Well, my SQL my account ran out of money. Which is why the Geeks website has gone down.
Oh, I noticed that actually. Yeah, I was going to look and see where do I send links to this site. As your website, this site has gone down because this site was tweeted to death. I'd say.
No, it ran out of money. Because I left my SQL Azure SQL DW running over the weekend. Over a couple of weeks now.
Do you want to know a hint? Ring up support and they'll credit you back.
I could contact. No, the credit will get it resets in. It's an MSDN account, so it will get reset in 2 days. I could just open it up and spend the money myself on my own credit card, but I'm too cheap for that. But thank you for that hint. Well, thank you for your time, Ben. I will contact that Shannon. Yes, good for season 2. And I was going to mention that season 1 end party will be in Zoom because Teams doesn't support the gallery view of I think Zoom does like 49 people in a gallery view, and Teams does 4, or the beta does 9. So.
And do you have a Zoom account? Because it'll be a 40-minute party otherwise. Or find someone who has one.
Oh, you are right, aren't you? You are right.
I'm sure everyone will pop in a couple of euro, Mark. Pay for Zoom for 1 month and extend the party.
I'm too cheap. I'm too cheap for that.
How much does it cost for a month?
I don't know.
I'm sure it's like only a couple of bucks. Or find somebody who's willing to let us use their Zoom account. Okay, Mark.
Yes.
I will not do my Zoom pricing searches online on this meeting.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your time, and it was great. And I presume you're coming over to SQL Bits if it's on in September.
So I don't know. I did a big trip to Australia in February. That's kind of knocked me for a couple of months finance-wise. So if I do, it would be quite last minute and all that. So I'd say I'm about a 20% chance of making it. So we'll see.
All right. Well, if not at that one, then the next time I'm over in Dublin for the SQL Saturday or whatever the next event is going to be, I'll see you and say hello.
Absolutely.
Right.
So next year we have the incarnation of Sickle Saturday called Data Kaylee. So we've rebranded, and we were going to have it this year, but we decided to postpone until we could do the in-person one. So next year, bigger and better.
All right.
Just you wait.
All right. Great. All right. Well, thank you for that, and thank you for watching. All right.
Thanks very much, Mark, and thanks for the opportunity.
That's all right.
And
bye.
Bye.
Well, you can carry on. I haven't stopped the stream yet.